Welcome to our BFA program open house. As I mentioned before, we've got three main presenters here, myself and Dr. Merrill Epstein and Jordan Schrantz, who's our head of illustration, and we're going to really examine the BFA program and the opportunity it represents from several different areas. First of all, Merrill is going to talk about what's unique about the Sessions BFA and talk about some of the features that you can expect if you're enrolling as a student. We'll have a presentation by Jordan Schrantz in the middle of the discussion that's about living a creative life. He's a tremendous Jordan I've known for many years. We've been lucky to work together for many years. He's a very talented individual. He's not only a great artist, he's a musician, and he's here to talk about the potential to live a creative life and to develop yourself as an artist. And then towards the end of the presentation, I will present some ideas on why I think the BFA program is just a great opportunity for students who want to take their skills to the highest level in design or illustration or photography. And then we'll have a Q&A session. Jessica De La Garza will answer any questions you have about getting started, and we can also really answer any question you have about the program. So let's get started. I'm going to hand you over to Merrill, who's going to begin her presentation about what's unique about the Sessions BFA.
Gordon, can you make it full screen?
Sure.
Just the one with Jordan's pretty face has lots of words.
Yes. You're not seeing the screen. You're not seeing
no,
the.
I see it. It's fine. It's okay. I think everyone can see it. Raise your hand if you can't. This one's pretty clear. The other one has a lot of text. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I just want you to understand our focus from our BFA. We really wanted to create something unique that wasn't in the marketplace. First of all, someone can complete a BFA from beginning to end in 10 semesters, which is pretty awesome. This program is built on our existing AOS associate program, which is 72 credits and 6 semesters. So students, even in the BFA program, would begin in those semester 1 and semester 2. It's customizable, aligned with your goals. Let's say, for example, you want to be a professional photographer or have your own series of books being illustrated by you. Those goals are really important. We respect that. And the last part of the program, the last 4 semesters, are customizable. The projects, you decide what direction you want to go. However, if you don't have goals in mind, that's okay too, because we provide starting points for everybody. Everything we do from beginning to end is based on real world scenarios, how we can prepare you to have those skills, not just technical skills, but creative skills to be successful and achieve your goals. And of course, enhancing your professional portfolio, because that's what creatives do. We create work and then we assemble it so other people can enjoy it. Next. And this is what I was talking about, but I think everyone can see it. It just looks small on my screen. I'm not going to read the words. That's lots of little words. But basically, I want you to understand the underpinning. Again, this is just an example of the program outcomes for the BFA in illustration program. We have this for all the programs and Sessions. Those of you that are new to us may not be aware of that. And in this case, if you were to read all those little words, they're each categorized by different areas like drawing and painting, illustration, technology. Again, this is the illustration example. If you want to learn more about one of our other programs, that's included on our website. And basically, it's not just a bunch of words. What we do is, this is the underpinning of our programs. We looked at the skills that industry needed. We talked to our advisory board, and then we develop this list, and we make sure that we not only present content for students, but we provide opportunities for them to demonstrate these skills. So that's what we do. And we're proud of those program outcomes. And then this is how basically a diagram so I can show you where we customize the curriculum. You can customize your curriculum. So you can see on the left, there's year 1 and year 2. That is the associate degree portion of our degree program that the last 4 semesters combined create the BFA program. And in the beginning, people need to develop or advance their technical skills and ideas about art, color theory, design, composition, all those really foundational things. It's like building a house. You have to dig a hole and put in some concrete and build a strong foundation. And that's what that's focused on. That 6th semester students produce a portfolio in their portfolio review class. And then at the beginning of the last 4 semesters, semester 7, in what's called in this BFA program for illustration, project planning and creative workflow, that class, the students with the instructor will look at their existing portfolio, they'll discuss their goals that they have, future goals, and then how to meet them. I've always said that a portfolio is sort of like a piece of Swiss cheese. So our job is to work with students to identify where those little holes are and how we can fill them before they graduate. And then as far as customizing, for example, in drawing and visualization or visual storytelling and storyboarding, all of the projects in that class, especially something like special topics or senior project, are really geared towards student goals. So let's say a student wants to be an illustrator, but also has fine art that they develop. Maybe they want to work on an exhibition. That could be something that they work on in their senior project. And then at the end, again, another portfolio really focused on refining what an individual wants to do in their future. And then also, just so you know, those of you who are new to sessions, we create our own general education courses. They're really fun, they're relevant, and they provide opportunities for creativity, like science of light, color, and motion. Pretty cool. That's not just a physics class. What that is really about engaging with light and color, which is what artists do in the real world. So that's it. Earn a BFA in 10 semesters. Woohoo!
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Meryl. As you can see, the ARS program, the BFA program, is a program that takes advantage of the strengths of the associate degree program, which is our 2-year associate degree delivered over 4 semesters, and on top of that build some really additional unique features on top for students entering their final 4 semesters of classes. So it's a great opportunity to build a foundation and then kind of put the finishing touches to your portfolio en route to a BFA. We're going to touch more on the BFA later on, but I'm going to transition to Jordan. I'm going to try a different view, see if this will sort of be more. Meryl, tell me if you can see the screen better.
Well, I can see it, but it's
delivering more of what you would.
It's okay. I like the grid. I'm a graphic designer. Oh, there you go.
Of course you are. Okay, so I'm going to hand you over to Jordan. So Jordan, this is you're part of the presentation where you're going to talk about your experience as a multimedia artist and how to live a creative life.
Cool. Thank you all for inviting me and giving me this chance to talk. By living a creative life, I am thinking more of like along the ideas that you're all creative people, or creatives as we're often referred to. Myself, I have a background in primarily academic drawing and painting, which I then have been able to expand to a world of design, visual art, music, performance, installation, interactive media. I mean, if I give you a list of all the creative jobs I had, it would be a long, long list. Somehow it all comes back to drawing for me. So let's talk about some of the components that make being that makes us be creative people, and how we work and how we put together ideas. So let's start off with I'm going to switch to my view. So as a group of makers, builders, and designers, I want to talk to you about something I'm sure you are all familiar with on some level, and that's the creative process. So what are the components of being a living, working artist, whether that means professionally or just maintaining a sustained studio practice? So knowing what you need to know, even when you don't know you need to know it yet. Yeah, you'll find a lot of times you have to bring all your skills when you're working. It's definitely true with the BFA program, and as well as professionally. We all have our own individual strengths, whether that's working with a particular medium or technique. I imagine at some point what has led you here is you realizing that you were good at something and wanting to pursue that further. I personally realized real quickly I was really good with crayons and scissors, not so good with the basketball being thrown at me. So I was like, all right, this is my safe spot. Let's go here. When as a child. So I found that working as an artist today can require a lot of skills that go beyond what might be traditionally considered those of an artist. You might be good at coding, composing music, editing video, or even practical applications like gardening, textiles, interior decorating. I think a lot of the working artists that I know today start out in other professions altogether and found ways to use those previous skills as part of their current creative process, including backgrounds in professions such as anthropology, physical training, even mathematicians, finding ways to bring that into their creative process. As a multidisciplinary artist myself, I'm often pulling from my skills as a painter and as a musician, along with my background in design and time-based mediums. I'm often required to pull from multiple skill sets at once when working on a project. This can include photo retouching, audio engineering and production, printmaking, sculpting. I definitely have a way of just not drawing the borders of where things should stop and just keep building and adding. When I think back to my education as an undergrad, a lot of it was focused primarily with drawing, painting, and sculpting still lifes and nude figures. That was basically it. My technology stopped probably at 1870 in terms of what I was studying. But I still give credit to these skills as being the basis for my understanding of design and composition that I in turn adapted to a career in graphic design, web design, motion graphics. It's also what I drew upon while working on film, as an art director or when creating practical effects. Even my sense of sculptural space that I use as a basis for my installation Soundworks can be traced back to my ability to compose a still life. The relationship between forms and space. I tell this a lot because I teach a lot of foundation drawing and painting classes. And it all comes back down to the still life at some level. So many still lifes I've made in my life. The point is that you never know what skills you may end up needing down the road. So it's best to bring all that you got. Along those lines, it's important that you are continuing to push yourself to learn new skills. That, I imagine, is a big part of what may have drawn you to this program. You want to expand your repertoire beyond what you know to give a broader understanding. Lighting, storyboarding, layout, these are all examples of the types of skills that you may need working as an artist today. You have a wide set of existing skills, but want to know how to combine them or augment them. I just recently found myself working on a project that required me to learn some additional skills on electrical engineering, something I never thought I would need to know. And this is for the third or fourth time that's come up for me in a professional situation. So next thing you know, I'm like learning about all kinds of things. It's not a skill that I ever imagined I would need. But now here I am learning about like voltage biases and gain staging and soldering this and trying not to electrocute myself primarily. But again, it's a new skill beyond just drawing, beyond painting that I suddenly had to develop in the process. Sometimes the skills are more practical, such as project management, which in a lot of cases comes down to time management. Given all the time in the world, we could work on something until it reaches the level of perfection in our mind. But are you able to produce the best possible product to meet a week's deadline? I know that's often the biggest challenge for students and for professional artists. Do you have the experience of knowing what can and cannot be completed in that amount of time, or how to prioritize one item over another? You can have a grand list of 12 magical things you want to put into a project, but as that deadline approaches, are you able to make those decisions to go, nope, not those 12, these 10, nope, not those 10, these 7, nope, not those 7, these 4. We're getting these 4 things, and that's the project. And pulling that off. That's a skill, probably the most important skill. Knowing when and where to apply your skills is often the most important. One of the benefits of a formal education, besides the learning of materials and techniques, is learning how to apply them. Most of the courses in our programs are presented as challenges, as creative problems for you to solve. The new skills you may be learning might be just learning how to work. There's also developing your existing skills. There's no time to settle where you are at. No matter what your skill level is with any one medium or technique, it's important that you stay disciplined and continue to practice and develop. It's a muscle. It's physical. Being an artist requires a constant dedication to improving your craft. In essence, you are a lifetime learner. I remember at one point in the later years of undergrad, I was enrolled in a figure drawing class, and another student, not in the course, asked me if I was taking the course again because I had been bad at previously. This was maybe my 4th or 5th time taking figure drawing. And I told him, no, it's because I'm that good. It's just a matter of like continuing to push yourself and exercise and practice. Whatever your craft is, you need to stay dedicated to practicing, developing, improving, expanding where your skills can go. You need to stay ambitious. That's with our skills. Then combine that, we have to work in some of our ideas and concepts. That's the other part of it. So yeah, we need to, one of the most important components of making art is what we intellectually and emotionally bring to it, our concepts and ideas. Where does our inspiration to create come from? So sometimes inspiration can be straightforward and it comes from a client. You might find yourself working as part of a team, fulfilling a single role in a project. You will need to understand what it is that's being asked of you and how to bring it to life. This can be a client leaning on you and your mastery over craft to perfectly render their vision. This could also mean a lot of interpretation on your part as you go beyond what the client says they need and what it is you know they actually need. That happens a lot of times when I'm working with commercial clients, and they'll say, this is what I want. And I'll be like, there's a reason why I have the degree in aesthetics and you don't. Let me work this out for you. And usually I'll come back with an improved version of their idea and they'll almost always go with what I say. It's also very common to be inspired by other art and artists. This could be illustrations, movies, video games, paintings, music, dance. Maybe it's a particular artist. I know I definitely had artists that I was a fan of when I was younger that inspired me to want to continue. It could even be a specific piece. I've had single pieces of music or a single painting that would be the inspiration behind my work for years at a time. It's important that you're always keeping your eyes and ears open, experiencing the works of other creative minds. I encourage all of my students to visit museums, galleries, and if need be, seek out art and culture and find different things to inspire you. There's also what's come before. Whether you were looking at specific examples from art history or history in general, there's so much to be pulled from the past. Understanding where we've come from as a society can help us to better interpret and understand the context of our contemporary world. The more that I learn from history, the better I understand the context of what I'm doing, how it fits in with tradition, how it fulfills a certain level of inherent expectations from an audience. Yeah, the more you know, the more you know. Also, there's your personal experience. Beyond all that comes from what you have lived yourself. We each have our own unique story, and within are countless sources for ideas for projects. This could be simple anecdotes such as something that we experienced in school as a child. Maybe it's a book that you read or a place that you traveled to. I remember at one point in my career where I created a series of paintings that focused on airplanes. It's like commercial planes landing and taking off. Where in a number of these compositions I had placed, so it's like a vertical composition, and I placed the ground very low with most of the painting being made of this negative space of just sky, kind of getting this ethereal feeling to it. And it wasn't until some months into this project that I went back to visit some family in my hometown, and where I'm from is central Illinois, which is flat land in every direction, flat corn as far as to the horizon. And driving through this, I realized that I've been recreating this landscape in my compositions where it's like all ground and then sky. So it came from, it was a very like a light bulb going off in my head when I realized like this is what I've been doing. So you'll pull from all kinds of experiences when you're making your work. So our skills and ideas in hand, the question then becomes, what form does the work take? So let's go to putting it all together.
Right.
There we go.
So yeah, so what does the what form does the work take? So first, as we start to make the work, there's a design process. When it comes to physically making the work, the first step should always be the design process. This is your chance to think out loud as it were. This can come in the form of sketches, notes, storyboarding, I'm a firm advocate of keeping a sketchbook handy so you can work out ideas as they come to you. Trying out things quickly on a piece of paper can give me an assessment of what may or may not work early without needing to go through the actual steps of production. This process often includes a lot of research as well. I have a tendency of wanting to uncover every aspect of the subject until I feel that I've reached some level of mastery of it before I begin to whittle it down to just the components that I need to design my project. Then there's also the production. What form will our work come in and how do we make it, like physically? Keep in mind that this may result in you pulling upon a number of your skills as well as potentially learning new ones along the way, hence my electrical engineering. Consider, is this going to be a mass-produced publication print or an animation for the internet or a unique painting created by hand? A lot of the decision-making that goes behind production comes out during the design stage, but then you also need to physically make it. Given the interdisciplinary nature of my working process, deciding on the form and means of production can sometimes be quite a challenge. For example, I could compose a sound piece, whether this takes the form of spoken text or a form of music or even something abstract. I could then choose to perform this myself in public somewhere or stage performance where others would act it out. I could also offer it as a fixed recording, such as vinyl LP or a digital download, which then leads to the design of the artwork and anything related to that. I could also use it as a component in a video, such as a soundtrack, or it could be the main focus, such as a music video. I could also change the format of the audio altogether and have it be as a component in an installation piece that then invites the viewer to interact with it in both physical space and time. And I've had a piece where I had a bunch of like little antique tape recorders all going off, and as you walked, you experienced it. Yeah, I mean, I would run through a similar set of options if I was creating a series of images or composing a video. What form makes sense? And then once we have the product, it then becomes a question of marketing. We generally consider marketing to be in terms of consumerism, selling a product, but at its essence, it really just comes down to how to make an audience aware of your work. Are you going to promote your work online or through some form of print mailer, or will you use some type of guerrilla marketing? In my career, I've had the opportunity to work in marketing in a number of ways, such as one of my first design jobs was to design a giant banner that covered the entire front of the New York Stock Exchange. So it's like 70-foot by 30-foot banner I had to make. I've also used stickers pasted in the bathroom of bars, to spread a client's message. It really can come in any number of ways. It really just comes down to knowing what your product is, whatever it is you're creating, and then knowing who your target audience is going to be, and then getting your product in front of that audience by whatever means. Which brings us to our next topic, which is purpose. So why are we doing any of this? Being creative often means going beyond the beaten path. It involves risks. I'm sure at some point, as you're being creative and your parents are like, don't you want to get a job as a lawyer or a doctor or something like that? I never had to suffer that. My parents were always like, well, how's your painting? I'm like, but maybe I want to be a doctor or lawyer. And you're like, where's your painting? They're still like that now. How's your painting? I'm like, all right. So first, when we're thinking of the purpose, we have to consider like maybe who's our desired audience. So let's start by asking who this audience is. Who are we making this work for? Is your intention to illustrate a series of graphic novels for young adults, or compose a book of stage photographs to be published and sold to an appreciative clientele of avid photography lovers? Depending upon the client, the desired audience can be a range of people of all ages and backgrounds. So to this, it becomes important to do your research to know best who they are, what their interests are, what type of places they go, what other types of art or products they consume. Maybe the audience is something more personal. You could be creating something for a family member or friend. The audience can be yourself. The vast majority of the creative work I do is often just for myself. I do a lot of experimenting for one. I also put together work simply because I like it. The studio practice of just making work, whether it ends up meant to be physically brought to the world or just left in the studio, is a reminder for myself. I have my own private collection of paintings I've done through the years that I have just for me. They don't fit into any particular series or any particular show, but they're ones I have that I just did to see if I could. And I think that's important. Also, what is the desired effect? Think of yourself. What is the desired effect you're wanting to have with your audience? Is it to inform, entertain, inspire? What types of feelings are you hoping to conjure in the minds and hearts of your audience? This alone could dictate a lot of the design processes. Whatever method you use, you'll be asking yourself whether it will or won't create the effect in your audience that you're going for. And probably most importantly, how does it answer your individual needs of self-expression? This goes beyond simply making work with yourself as a desired audience. I'm referring more to the drive we all have as creatives, as makers to make. We want to test ourselves to see what we can accomplish. There's something in us that needs to come out. And on some level, there's an emotion that is going to manifest itself in the real world, one way or another. And probably making art is the healthiest way we can be expressing ourselves. So, it's a chance to channel that. I can have a lot of reasons for making the art I do, but often it comes down to an intuitive level of an emotional level of what I feel is right. There's all the components in there. There's all the skills, all the techniques, all the training, all the references, all the culture, all the ideas, all there. But ultimately, it's the way my brain creatively puts all those components and rearranges them and puts it out that ends up being what happens and why it has to happen. I make the work I do because it is essentially who I am.
Yep.
That said, I hope to encourage you all to do what you do and to continue making the work you do. I know the BFA, I know for myself going through and getting a BFA, it was very helpful for me to be able to learn the process of combining all those elements, to work it through, to be able to create projects, to have deadlines, to build up a body of work, be able to present it to peers, to get their feedback, to have their response from classmates and instructors. It helped me build work that came down beyond just an interest or hobby, but to take it to a professional level that I was able then to create a career that's constantly evolving and unfolding. So that's what I got.
Great.
Hopefully there'll be more along the way.
Thank you, Jordan. That's a great presentation. And I find it very interesting. You're somebody who we've worked with for many years who really stresses foundation and studio practice, and the idea that these foundation skills that you're building enable you to do sort of structure your brain and your creativity to create consistent work and to do it for professionals, but also to do it for yourself, in a way that's satisfying. That seems to me to be a great way to lead a creative life. So thank you for giving us that presentation. So everybody, I thank you for staying with us, because we've got we just heard from Jordan, who's one of our department heads, who's actively involved in our BFA program. And I just wanted to close out this part of the presentation by talking about the BFA, like what kind of opportunities are there for someone who wants to lead that creative life and develop those skills through the BFA. What I want to talk about is some of the things that make our BFA a little bit different. There are many creative programs and ways to learn to be an artist or a designer. We're an online school, we're accredited, we're a college. We have programs that students can use financial aid or different kinds of funding to attend. And you can earn a degree at the end of it, as well as building those skills and kind of building that portfolio of strong work. For our BFA students, as Meryl was talking about earlier, the BFA offers a really unusual structure in which the associate degree, which is the core program offered in the first 2 years, establishes this strong foundation of basic skills. Then on top of that, we have this upper level, which, if you were to go straight through the program, you could do it in three and a third years, under 4 years, which is very unusual for a BFA program. So it has that flexibility in terms of the time to complete. It also provides an opportunity for any of our current students who are in the undergraduate certificate or in the associate degree to think about continuing And to earn a BFA, you could earn a BFA in less than 4 years. You could do it just in a few additional semesters. And there's some benefits to attending and to going through the BFA experience that are a little different from the foundation level. So I'm going to talk about some of these. One of these is that the courses are structured around these advanced, what we call multifaceted projects. So you get a chance to do projects that span several weeks rather than having a different creative challenge every week, which is sort of the way it works in our AOS and UC programs. You can have a project that spans a whole semester and gives you the opportunity to do things that have multiple pieces to them in order to build this really strong portfolio piece. There's also an element to it where we have a real chance for our faculty to work one-on-one with our students. One thing that we pride ourselves on at Sessions is flexibility. So we don't do a lot of what we're doing right now, which is Zoom meetings, because we're trying to create an environment where our students can be very flexible and able to do their creative work, but still continue their lives and operate on a flexible schedule. Well, in the upper level BFA courses, we have a little bit more one-to-one, and the instructors have 2 Zoom meetings and an office hour every semester. So you get a chance to really work with the instructor, and you're also developing the ability to present your work in small group forums. And we feel that's very beneficial as students reach the end of their program and they're building those higher level skills in terms of their portfolios. So some of the features that make it unique, and which I really advocate is a very strong option for our students, is the ability to sort of explore different genres. In this case, we're talking about illustration today because Jordan has been our guest. But in our illustration program, whether it's design, photography, or illustration, you're getting the chance to explore specific genres in your program because, as Meryl was saying, there's a certain ability to customize the program around your specific needs and goals. The projects are open-ended. We have things like special topics and senior project that can be very, very personalized. So you can come out at the end of the 4-year program with a body of work that really, at the end of the day, should reflect what you want to really work on. Our projects, as I said, are very challenging, and they do offer a lot of creative latitude in terms of completing something over a semester, getting feedback from your instructor at multiple points, getting feedback from your peers. And that all adds up to, we think, a great experience for really honing that body of work by the end of the term. Exactly. Well, and finally, another thing I want to stress is there are opportunities for research. We want to see from our bachelor student, from our BFA grad, that students are able to research their projects and really put that kind of deep thought and preparation into the work. Certainly with design work, research is half of the game. It's not about creating something that's pretty. It's creating something that's rooted in what the industry or the client or the customer needs. So in our BFA level programs, we create sets of research guidelines for our students that give them a roadmap for how to go about doing their project. So there's a chance to really build some research skills at the upper level that perhaps are even deeper than you would do at the foundation level. And finally, of course, you will get a chance to study with some advanced professionals who really have a great stake in helping you develop your high quality work. If you continue to the BFA level, you'll study with some folks you know, and maybe some folks you don't know if you've been studying at the foundation level at Sessions. And it's really important as an artist or a designer or a photographer to get feedback from multiple instructors, to experience different points of view as you work through the program. And that way you can get multiple perspectives on your work and take it to a higher level. So these are some of the things that we're very excited about for the BFA program. We'd love to see you guys, some of the guys in this room, considering this program. And in order to consider the program, we're first of all going to just talk a little bit about the admission side of the picture. What would you need to do if you were going to get started? Our next start date is January the 2nd for this program. And with that, I'm going to hand you over to Jessica De La Garza, our Director of Admissions.
Thanks so much, Gordon. I appreciate it. Yeah, so admission into the BFA program is a formal application process that includes, like submitting high school or college transcripts, writing an essay, submitting portfolio pieces, and all of these things your admissions advisors will help you with. In addition to helping you with the admissions part of things, they also will talk to you a lot about your goals before you get started with the program, so that they can kind of make sure that that program is a good fit for you. And they're also going to talk to you a lot about different schedules, like how many credits should I take each semester so that I can keep on track, and what can I expect these classes to be like? What kind of technology requirements do I have? So it's important that you reach out to your admissions advisor and you have that discussion with them. As Gordon has here on the screen, when it comes to the BFA program, we have several scholarship options available. So we have a specific scholarship for students who are going from our associate's degree to the bachelor's degree. We have a lot of AOS grads, and so those do have a specific scholarship that they can apply to. Other students can apply to any of our other creative scholarships. So you just would go to the scholarship page on our main site. You can just search for it on our site, scholarship, and it'll come up. You apply to that. Or of course, students might be using financial aid. They might be using third-party scholarships. They might be using military benefits, and your admissions advisor can help you with any of that, as well as answering any other questions that you might have. So if you think you might want to learn a little bit more about the BFA program, or you think you might want to enroll, reach out to admissions. You can email us at the email shown there, admissions@sessions, or you can give us a call, and it's easy. You just call straight into the school, and option 1 is admissions.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, now we have got time for some question and answer. You've heard us wax lyrical about the BFA program. We're very curious, what questions do you have? If you have any questions, you can post them in the chat, or if you like, you can unmute yourself and talk directly through the chat. Let's see.
I'll go for it. One quick thing too. We are giving away shirts to the first 5 folks who showed up. So please put your, either you can send me your email, like whisper to it in the chat. You just click everyone and then just click on me, Jessica. Or you can email it to me. My email is jessica@sessions.edu. I definitely want to hear from you, so I can get you the code to our swag store, where you can basically pick out a shirt or anything else. You would have that money available for you for the swag store.
Very good. We can never have too much swag.
No.
Chris commented that he enjoyed Jordan's presentation, and Jackson agreed with him.
Yeah,
Nice
I
to
did.
hear.
Personally, that presentation, great, Jordan, great.
Fantastic.
I'm still here. I'm here.
That's lovely to hear. Who's clapping there? Is that Jackson or Chris?
Yeah, that was me.
Great, thank you. Do you have any questions about the BFA or questions of Jordan?
Who, me?
Or anyone.
Yes, anyone.
I also can be emailed if you have any questions specifically about the BFA and illustration. And my email is Jordan, as it's spelled here correctly, .trans@sessions.edu. So if you're curious about that, you can always hit me up. If you're not already one of my existing students, in which case just email me, of course, mail.
Great.
Great. Well, let's see. I'm not seeing any questions. Could we possibly have answered all the questions in our presentation? I'm not sure, but we have a reminder that we have, our next class is starting in January the 2nd, and it's not too late to apply. In order to apply to the BFA program, you have the standard requirements to completing your application and providing transcripts and essays and so on. We have a new feature this January, which is a new program that we've built in our education team. It's called Prior Learning Assessment, and it's a program where an adult with work experience that's relevant to the program can possibly earn credit to be applied to certain classes if they have professional skills in a certain area. So it's a new program, but it's a great opportunity for adult learners to possibly obtain credit for skills that they already have that they haven't earned in an academic context. So if you're in that category, please ask our admissions team about that.
And
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. And so I was just curious with the B of A, is there an opportunity for like internship or job placement upon completion?
oh, great question. Gordon, can I answer that?
You can answer that, Meryl. You've got some good
Well,
anecdotes.
thank you for the perfect segue, because when I was looking at all those words, I didn't want to overwhelm everybody with that page with all the text, but in all of our BFA programs, we have a course that's called Internship and Entrepreneurship. Keeping in mind, we developed this program during the pandemic, and we weren't sure how soon people would be returning to offices. So within that class, and the intention of that class, again, great question, is to help prepare students before they leave college, before they leave the program, to really get job experience. As a matter of fact, I'm teaching the course right now, and I have one of the graphic design students. She's working for an art consortium, and part of the week she goes in the office, and the rest of the time she works remote. They love her. It's fantastic, and she's getting real world experience. And by the way, it will go on her resume, because a lot of times, if any of you have looked at job ads, a lot of them, they say degree plus experience and work experience. And our goal is to give you the opportunity to have both. So that's one piece. We don't offer job placement. Again, we're an online college and our students are everywhere, so it would be really hard to localize that. But we do have professional focused classes like professional practices. And even in the portfolio class, you're going to be creating a portfolio that's on Behance, that website, with a resume, a leave behind, all of those things to prepare you to enter the field. So when someone leaves our program, they really have a mindset about entering the field. We don't say, oh, and by the way, you need a portfolio. We go every day, we talk about how are we going to prepare you, not just your artistic work, but your business mindset, like Jordan actually had mentioned in his presentation. So great question. Thank you for asking. Did I answer?
Awesome. Yep. Perfect. Perfectly. Thank you so much. Awesome.
You're welcome.
Yay.
Great, thank you. And we also have a question from Chris, who says, I'm currently enrolled in the certificate program that began the first of this month. Hey, welcome to Sessions, Chris.
Hey.
Would I be able to apply and begin a BFA program, or do I have to wait until the certificate program is finished in July? That's a question for admissions.
Well, if you've started the program, if you started at the first of this month, I'm going to assume you might have been in the professional certificates. Is that
Correct.
accurate? Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you'd probably want to finish it before you started the BFA program, because that certificate is going to give you 18 credits that you're going to transfer straight into your bachelor's program, which is
Okay.
great. That's a good head start. But one nice thing about the professional certificate is that you're not held down by any particular deadlines or semesters. So
Right.
you could work ahead and finish it more quickly. And as soon as you do, you can hop right on to the next available start date for the BFA program with your 18 credits in tow.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, no problem.
Great.
To tag on to what Jessica shared, that's one of the great things about Sessions is if you take a course, even in our other programs, we always think about how to articulate those classes and those credits into our programs. So don't feel like if you're in one program, oh, I can't apply to that. No, it's applicable. And that's also why those foundation classes are common, because everyone gets that strong foundation. Because sometimes someone decides, they enter in one program and they decide, I love photography. I want to pursue my BFA in digital photography. And they can do that because they already took a lot of those classes that are transferred into the other programs. So great question. Thank you.
Thanks, Merle.
Oh, you're welcome, Chris. Welcome aboard, by the way.
Very much appreciated. Glad
Yeah.
to be here.
Glad. Yeah, for us
Fantastic.
too.
It's good to hear these thoughtful questions. Do we have any other questions about BFA? We've got a few folks in here. We've got Tally, we've got Sarah. Anything, if you can't think about it now, you can always ask later, but we are here now. So, you know,
You
if
can
have-
always ask admissions, but you don't always get to speak with the president or the dean of the school or the department head of illustration before you enroll. So if you
That's
think
it.
of any good ones for them, now's the time.
you can try to stump us.
Yeah.
That's the try to stop part. So I just want to share a little snippet to explain, to build on to what Jordan had said. I have a bachelor's degree in graphic design and MFA in photography. Obviously, I love art and making things. But the first time I was hired as a graphic designer for a museum, I'd never designed a museum before, but I thought about it as like, well, it's a brochure you walk through. And that I was able to have that level of confidence because I had confidence in those foundational skills, and design and creative thinking help you do lots of things in the world. I know a lot of times in school, like in high school, it's like, oh, and they take an art class. But to us, creative thinking is really, like Jordan said, how you live your life. And that level of confidence and engaging in the world it's so applicable to every aspect of your life. So I just share that with you. A lot of times people don't, well, getting an art degree, does that make sense? It's applicable to everything that you do, because creative thinking and critical thinking are the things employers want, regardless of what the degree is. They want people that can think on their feet and solve problems. And that's what we teach students to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a single industry now that stays consistent. Everything is changing all the time. So it's just common now for people to have multiple careers, and being a creative person, being able to adapt your skills and just your mindset, I think is super vital. Just, yeah, my ability to approach any situation and to be able to look at it from beyond just what's presented and be able to improvise and work through it, I think has been one of the strongest skills that I was able to pick up from school and be able to apply. So.
And I see a question from Sarah. She says, do we have to take academic classes as well as only art courses? So it depends on the level of the program, like certificate program. Those programs don't require the general education courses, whereas the degrees do require taking general education courses. But I will say this, our gen eds are a lot more fun than the ones with some online schools or even other on-ground schools, where they get somebody else's prepackaged class, or I don't know if any of you have experienced this, they have a book and that's how they teach to the book. That isn't what we do. We created all our general education courses with our students in mind. So even in our English class, the students are looking at images and writing about them. So I know that sometimes the concern, Sarah, I hope that helped to answer your question, but that the general education courses are a requirement of the associate and bachelor's degree, but they're a lot of fun.
And I
Thank
want
you
to
so
point out,
much. That's great.
yeah, I
Good.
want to point out too that compared to a lot of other degrees, like if you were to go to the university, to a local university for a graphic design degree, for example, you're going to have gen eds, but there's going to be quite a few of them. You know, you have things where you have to take several science classes that aren't applicable to your degree at all. Like you might have to take, I think I took astronomy. You might have to take, you know, physical science, things like that. You'll have to take several math classes as well. With ours, it's really slimmed down on the amount of gen eds that you take. And then those ones that you are taking, like Merle explained, are really geared toward what it is that you're learning. So the majority of your time in the BFA program is spent on exactly the major that you're working on. A lot more so than I think most colleges and universities are going to have you doing.
Yeah, and to build on what Jessica just shared, for example, in the BFA in the last 4 semesters, there's a class, Accounting for Creatives. That's our math class.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And what it is it's focused, because there are math concepts, obviously accounting, counting money, but it's really about how do you set up your business? Because if you are wanting to be an artist, and quite honestly, even if you are an artist, you have to pay your bills, you have to buy food and all those other things. And so we want to set it up so that people are comfortable with those concepts, those accounting concepts. How much does it cost to have a computer, and how do you know if you're making money? So those are the kinds of things. An example, Sarah, for example, of how we customize our gen eds to be very applicable to our students.
Yeah, I will say, I'd also like to add, I mean, it's true that our degree programs are occupationally oriented, so only 25% of the credits are general education. That's different than most sort of academically focused programs at a regular college. But it's also true that the skills that we're teaching these courses are really important. In our degree program, for example, there's 2 levels of writing course. There's an English composition course that gets your writing skills together, and then there's a copywriting course, because you know, if you're going to survive in business, you've got to think about how to frame and phrase ideas in ways that are succinct and crisp. So we're trying to help you communicate, but not just through writing academic papers, also by expressing yourself and thinking about how to write for a business audience. So those are some different ways to have fun, even if you're in a general education course.
Someone just asked a question about creating a portfolio and if they use websites. So many of our degrees include web design classes, so you learn that component, but our portfolios themselves, we have our portfolios posted on Behance. We have our own BFA show gallery area. If you want to check that out, you can go on our school, our college website. Oh, there we go, Jessica. Thank you.
Yeah.
She included the link so you can see our portfolio. We just graduated our first group of BFA portfolios with graphic design. They did an excellent job, and you'll see the variety, and you can look at their work on our website, but also click to their website through Behance, and it includes an artist statement and their resume as well as their work.
Mhm. And then we also have the student gallery. So if you like the BFA portfolio show and you want to see more student work, all of this student work is in the gallery, which I'm going to post to you guys right now. These are all from projects that students are doing in their classes from all the different majors. And so it's really cool to kind of get to see what they do.
Jessica,
And yeah, go for it.
sorry to interrupt here, but it's time for me to get going. I'm also still in high school, so I don't know why I'm here, but I think it's time for me to get going. Anyways,
Okay.
great meeting, honestly.
Good luck.
Like
Good luck
the
for you.
haircut, Gordon.
Yeah, nice
Love
to
the
meet you.
haircut. Love the presentation, Chris, or no? Jordan. Jordan, Gordon. 2 cool
Thank-
names.
We're
Have
interchangeable.
fun in your new
We're a team.
class. All right, bye.
Thank you.
I got-
Thank
yep,
you.
I got-
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
also like behind in school. Like I got overdue papers, so that is
Well, you better get going then.
Yeah,
but-
good luck.
All right, bye
Nice
guys.
to talk to you.
You too.
Take care.
Bye. Yeah, so and if you guys are interested in the student gallery, you follow us on social media, we post a featured student each week. So you guys get a chance to kind of see each week what students are working on.
Great.
Great. Well, listen, thank you, Jessica, for highlighting some things that are happening at the Sessions website. We're always looking to showcase the great work that our students are doing, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with all of the great work that's actually happening.
Yeah.
So, you know, in closing, I want to thank you all for taking an hour out of your time today to learn about the BFA program. And I would encourage you to continue to ask questions. If you're thinking about it, please contact our grade admissions team, or you can address us directly, contact us through the school website. And, you know, we'd love to see you in a classroom soon. And so with that, I'm going to close up the chat and say thank you all for attending. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.